it is. Thumbs up, the Gold Coast Airport Marathon. What a beautiful part of the world it is. And the weather is set fine, if not a little cooler than the last few years. Tim Gilbert here, and joining me is Steve Monaghetti. Monas, how are you?
Really good, Tim. Fantastic weather. A bit cooler, which is absolutely perfect for running conditions. So they'll be out looking for fast times and furious racing today.
And as we look at the scene here, 39 years of the Gold Coast Airport Marathon. Started with 600 odd runners. Now across the weekend there's 30,000 runners. It has just built and built and built.
It has over the years, and now is one of the biggest marathons in the world, and certainly a great opportunity to run in a fast and exciting race.
Yeah, and people from all around the world have come here to watch what is going to be an extraordinary men's and women's marathon race. We've got the best in the world here, and yeah, there's some smiling faces having a bit of a wave, and there's so many opportunities to run in so many different formats across the weekend. It is a celebration of running.
No, just for the challenge, and we do it every year, so yeah, fourth marathon for me, but no, it should be good. Looking forward to it.
You know what? I'm expecting to finish, and the rest of it is just whatever happens, happens. So
first one, so yeah, I quit smoking and drinking about 3 years ago, so I got into running, and yeah, never thought I'd end up here, but here we are.
Yeah, the atmosphere is awesome. I just loved my marathon last year, so yeah, I wanted to come back again.
And Nick, what are you expecting?
Long slog, but very enjoyable for 42 Ks with my father.
Well, I do them because I think they're great medicine and I love to run.
There's huffing and puffing, but a lot of smiling. It is an extraordinary time to be on the Gold Coast. So many people here, either those that really want to compete and win this race, or others that are setting their own targets, their own challenges in what is an amazing race over 42.2. And here's the circuit, Monas.
It is. We go down through surface. It's out and back, sort of like a coat hanger through Broad Beach, down to the further southernmost point of the course down at Burleigh Heads. The runners turn around, basically head back on that same course through the start-finish line. There we go, through Main Beach, through the start-finish line just after 30k, then out to Runaway Bay. The challenging part of the course is they head for home back to the start-finish area.
There wouldn't be many marathons around the world that are as beautiful as this, would there?
Spectacular and flat and fast, good shade cover, really fast course this one.
Well, here we are on the start line. A fantastic finish last year with Kawauchi. There he is, and of course he tried to run down Kenneth Mungawa. He didn't quite get there, but it was extraordinary, and there he is, as
There's
cool
Kenneth.
as a cucumber.
They were the great race, one of the greatest finishes you could ever want to see in a marathon last year. What are we expecting this year? Will we see it again? Can Yuki turn the tables on Kenneth?
Well, that's the way it's been set up. It's been set up as the battle of these two again.
Well, they both run so fast. They've both won here. You know, Kenneth going for 3 in a row. So the race is really set up for them.
And here we go, the Gold Coast Airport Marathon, and we are underway for 2017. Will it be Kawauchi? Will it be Kenneth? Or will it be someone else?
Well, you know, you think those guys are the class athletes in the race. You know, Yuki, he's a superstar in Japan and around the world, known as the citizen runner. So, you know, does it basically as a full-time working person. So it's really set up, you know, that they've both been so good over the last few days in the lead up. Very humble, throwing the responsibility to each other, but I think it's going to be a race in two. And who knows, they've both run very fast on this course, which, you know, means they should be able to do it again in perfect conditions today.
Everyone's different in different environments, but what is it like? I mean, you've been on the start line many times. I obviously have done about the 5.7 or the 1.2, which has got me nervous anyway, but standing on the start line at a marathon.
That's the nervous bit. You want the gun to go. So until the gun goes, now they're into their race, all you want to do is get a clear start, try and settle. You want to think that this is going to be your best marathon ever. You want to feel like today's your day. This is just cruisy. We just get into a pace, we just lock it in, sit in behind, get a nice pack forming and get that rhythm going early.
Yeah, we could see Kawauchi, he's just back there like on the third line of runners. You mentioned before the citizen runner, and his approach to marathon running is so different to most, isn't it? Because he will run marathon after marathon after marathon. Most marathon runners will leave gaps of months. This bloke doesn't. I think he did one last week.
I thought marathon runners were crazy generally, but he's actually really crazy. He ran a 50k race just a couple of weeks ago as a lead into this. He would race a marathon or an over distance event every couple of weeks. That's just how he works, and works during the week. Hardly trains, just goes from race to race. But his record is outstanding. He has probably for sub 210, sub 215s, really fast running. He has the most of any runner in the world under those times. So an incredible athlete, and a great story.
And look, there's so many great stories amongst this race, and it's those that are that will be there just over 2 hours, and it's those that'll be there hours and hours and hours after that. The growth of self-esteem that comes out of marathon runners. I think I spoke to you the other day. My brother's run 10, and it's extraordinary to see. And he's not a 2 hour or 3 hour runner, but his growth as an individual, marathon running can do that for people.
And it can. We're all out there together. The gun goes, we all start on the same start line, we run the same course, we all cross the finish line and get that reward of the finisher's medal. And it's one of the great things about marathon running, we can all do it together.
Yeah, with the beautiful scenery. Here we are on the Gold Coast, just one of the most beautiful parts of the world. And of the 6,000, there's probably 15 that can win in the men's and probably 5 in the women's?
Probably. I'm not even going that. I'd say there's only probably a couple in the men, to be honest. But I think everyone, you would never underestimate anyone. At this stage of the race, they're just feeling their way. The Japanese have got a good record here. There's a strong field of Japanese runners as well. So, I think at this stage, you just hope that you have a good day. The first thing with the marathon team is you've actually got to complete the course. So you're actually challenging yourself. You can hit the wall, the body isn't meant to run a marathon. So the first challenge is just getting through the race. So the second challenge is then how are you competing against the other athletes?
And there is a little bit of a relationship with cycling, isn't it? Because there's teamwork going on. There's pacers out the front here that are doing some work for others. Kawauchi, obviously, as you mentioned, he's quite different. He's out the front right at the moment, or just a few back.
And there's the women's field as well, a really strong women's field. And, they've been running in the 2 hours 20s recently, and the course record 2 hours 26. That's about what they'd be looking to run. They will also have paces, Tim. So we'll see some pace settings so that they don't have to think about the pace they're running. They just set behind these pace runners. They know the time will look after itself, so they can focus on how they're going.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about the work of the paces for those that are watching this and are new to marathon running and the role that they play?
Yes, and in the women's race, we have 2 pacemakers. So Brad Croker, you can see there, and Brady Threlfall, and they've chatted before this race, and they will say, okay, for race record 2:26, we need to run about 3:26 kilometre pace. They will just lock that in, and they'll have their watch, and every kilometre they tick off, they'll be just sticking to that pace and running a very even pace. And that's what you want in a marathon. It's spreading the workload, your energy levels out over the whole course, and that is the best way to do that, is to run even splits.
And Kenneth, no real sign of Kenneth. He just sort of puts himself to sleep a bit, doesn't he, particularly in these early stages?
And that's so important. That's exactly right, Tim. That's what you want to be doing, because you'll need this energy. Any energy you waste now is energy that you don't have in the crucial part, that the last 10 or 15 kilometres of this race. So you need to be just sitting in there, letting the pacers do their work, and just letting that rhythm flow with using as little energy as you possibly can. And we see the drink station there on the left of the shot there. They will have special drinks, so these elite athletes use special drinks that just top up their glycogen levels. So you'll know at home, your sports drinks, just to make sure you're getting some sugar and some replacement on board. And even though it's not that hot, but it's still hot enough that you need to make sure you keep hydrated.
And the Japanese have done so well here over the years, haven't they? Both in the men's and the women's.
Historically, yes. And I think because they're in our time zone, it seems to work really well for the Japanese runners. And what a great event, what a great testament for the event. We have so many international athletes, and a lot from Asia who come over for the event now.
I just love the stories in and around marathon running, and look, I can remember as a boy watching Robert De Castella in 1982, and of course the Commonwealth Games. You're the chef de mission of the Australian team for next year. But the Kenneth Mungawa story, and I know it's been told a number of times, but how he started as a barber, and the runners would come in and he'd cut their hair, and then he thought, well, I can beat you. And then look what he's done.
And he has. He certainly holds a world record. He's 43 now, and he holds a world record for 40 plus and 41, 42 and 43 year age groups. Under 2:9. It's incredible running at that age, and good on him for thinking, hey, I can do this, and he's certainly putting his feet where his mouth was.
Yeah, Kenneth Mungawa, can't see him there. The pace is out in front, and they're doing the work for those down the back in a lot of ways, but that is Kawauchi just there.
And I think we talked about the women's pace, and the men, the course record pace is about 3:04 kilometre or just over 20 kilometres an hour. That's incredible running. So whilst they look like they are just cruising along, they are actually running fast. They are running over 20 kilometres an hour, and to do that for over 2 hours is incredible running. That's what all the training's about. So we should never underestimate how fast these guys and girls are going.
And how do the tactics play out with where to take on liquids and how to play that whole thing from a marathon perspective?
So it's quite specific. There's 8 drink stations. So every 5 kilometres they have special drinks. So that's the only place you can get you pick your own drink up and you drink that, and then you can have sponge and water stations in between, but it's really only those 8 drink stations that you can take on fluids.
And some great names in the women's as we look out there, some great surnames in running. I know there's no real relationship personally, but Gabra Salesi and Bakili.
Yeah, very famous names. We all know those from distance running around the world, and Africans have it. They obviously, I speak to a lot of people and they go, why are the Africans so good? Well, they're born at altitude. Ethiopia, a lot of the Ethiopian runners, Addis Abeba's over 2,000 metres in height. So they're born at altitude. So they have a natural disposition to run well in distance running. Their oxygen, they have higher levels of oxygen just naturally. So they look more relaxed. They're breathing. They're not struggling because this is a natural thing for them to do.
Does it help you run faster when you look out at beautiful scenery like the Gold Coast, beach after beach? Just glorious day too.
I like to tell people that early on your field of vision is very wide, so you do pick up the beat, you do take all of that in. If you're comfortable and you're enjoying the scenery, that makes you relax and it allows you to just get into your race a bit more. I'll tell you what though, Tim, the further the race goes on, the less you're looking at the scenery. Your field of vision narrows very, very quickly when you start to get tired at the back end of this event.
I'm sure there'd be plenty wanting to jump in the ocean after about 30k. The other thing from a Gold Coast perspective is 12 months away from the Commonwealth Games. You must be getting very excited when you see elite athletes doing things like this so close to what is going to be huge.
That's right, and I think it's more so that the atmosphere here and the way that the locals embrace this event, and we know that the volunteers and the spectators are going to be really enjoying the Commonwealth Games. Basically, in this exact environment, we are seeing the Commonwealth Games as they're going to be played out in a few months' time right here on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, and we're seeing a bit of a split here with about 20 runners out in front.
That's unusual, to be honest. Normally, there's not such a big pack. It is perfect running conditions, so that probably helps. But normally, you don't get as big a pack together. Even at this early stage, they normally sort of get into more of an elite pack. But gee, that's a big group of runners.
I know that Kenneth had made the comment before this race to Kawauchi, let's try and work together. Let's try and make this a great race and not burn each other off. So how can they help each other here?
At the moment, they would be just relying on just being relaxed. So they're probably not too worried about. They won't. People say, do you talk? Well, you're not. If you're running at 20 k's an hour, you don't waste your words. So they won't be having a lot of conversation, but they might give a bit of eye signal. Just look across. They want this to be fast. So whilst they each want to run and win, they also want to approach the course record. It's great for the event, it's great for their running. They get bonuses and obviously it's a better outcome. So they'll want to help each other to make sure this pace is rolling. So they'll be on the back of, you can see Yuki right on the back of the pacemakers there wanting to make sure this pace keeps rolling.
Can we already say that the winner of the men's is going to come out of that pack there?
Yes. Categorically. If you're not there, that's the one thing with marathon running, and the same with the women's. It'll be out of this group, you can guarantee it, because if you're not on your game, you know pretty early on in the race. So it's very unusual to be able, once you drop off or to pick up 1 kilometre down the road, it's very difficult to run through a race and end up winning. So basically we can.
And of course the women's, they're going at quite a pace. Race records, I know we're very early on to talk about it, but with paces with them.
Yeah, they'll be having that in their mind. Don't worry about that. So amazingly, again, a big group of women in this pack, and they're surrounded by the men. And don't worry, these are quality men. I mean, just to be in this group, if you're running a 2:25 marathon pace, that's very fast running, sub 3:30 kilometre pace. And so don't be under any illusions of how fast this is, and they will be certainly focusing on that women's course record because they're good enough. There's 2 or 3 girls in this event that have ran faster than the course record.
Well, there it is, all the high-rise buildings of the Gold Coast. Just you can recognise that shot anywhere around the world, and this is the Gold Coast Airport Marathon. We've got a group of 20 men, which, as Mona says, is pretty out of the ordinary in a marathon. You'd see what would be a normal kind of group that you would think would be breaking away. 4 or 5?
Half of that, yeah, under 10 certainly, and you know, at a pace that's so fast, because a lot of these runners won't have run at this pace, and their personal best will be slower than the time they're running now. So it's quite unusual. As I say, you want to run even pace, and yet some of these runners, and they look fast. You can tell that their leg turnovers, they're rolling along. They're not just sitting in having a casual jog. They are working quite hard at this early stage.
What about for our Australian runners, Australian marathon runners?
Well, they'll be about, you know, they'd be looking, there's a qualifying time for Commonwealth Games and for World Championships of about 2:19, so they'd be looking to run under that time. And, you know, so they won't be in this lead pack, but they'll be in the second pack, and they'll get a group forming to help each other to try and get under that time as well.
Here we are, we're looking at the lead pack. There's Kawauchi from Japan, just behind the leaders, and it's just an extraordinary constitution. And when you look at his family, his mother came out last year and ran the marathon, and as you mentioned before, he did a 50k race the other day. I think his brother did the 100k.
He did. It's a family affair. And isn't that the one great thing about running now? We talk about the numbers turning up to events like the Gold Coast Airport Marathon, and it's all around the world. Families, you know, people are getting involved, and his mum's getting involved.
And here we are, the 10k race. This was run earlier in the weekend, and it's so much participation. Some extraordinary runners and those that are just setting their own personal marks, and some great performances. There's Tim Lefroy, an extraordinary win for him, just under 30 minutes, and he was pretty happy about it.
You're sort of just not thinking much, I don't think, trying to switch off. There's a lot of noise, so yeah, it was tough. It was a really hard race, and guys that came second and third are really quality runners, so yeah, really fortunate to get up.
And Eloise Wellings, a name, a face we know very, very well. A great performance from her.
I mean, it's my second race in 5 or 7 months, and I've been struggling with injury the last few months, and it came good about a month ago, and I just feel like I'm getting better every session, and you know, it's exciting being at this point because you know, every session you feel like you're getting much better.
Great to see Eloise, and here's the junior dash. Mums and dads and smiling faces. The junior dash, they loved it, didn't they? All the kids involved, the parents, and just promoting a great lifestyle. And there's a 5.7k challenge. Some very, very good runners. I walked it 57 minutes. Honest.
Still finishing, but good on you. Great to see you involved,
Still
Tim.
do
well
it with
done.
A cheeseburger. Oh, he's missed his drink bottle.
Oh, yeah, and that's sometimes what happens at the drink stage. You've got to be on your mettle, especially with such a large pack, and you know, it's quite difficult just to get in there. You're running so fast to grab your drink, spot it and then grab it, and hopefully that hasn't upset him too much. You just got to relax now. You can't let that sort of get to you, especially it's one of the paces, I think, so he'll just slowly move back up to the front and just resume the pacing duties.
And marathon running, and it's not one here, is it? It's staying out of trouble. It's all going to happen later, but they're coming up to an important part of the race.
That's right, and it's exactly what you want to do is you just want to get your drink, you want to get out there clean, you try to move in and out of that drink station with as minimal amount of fuss as you can.
And then here's the big turn.
So they're right down at Burleigh Heads. This is the southernmost part of the course, as I mentioned on the course map. So they're now heading back to the start-finish line. So it's not halfway in the event, but it's quite a significant turning point. You feel like at least you're heading back towards that 30k mark.
And here we see the women, and Gabra Selassie in there, Bakili in there, and a couple of pacers with them.
That's right, down to 4 women, which is still a big pack, and the 2 pacing men, they're keeping the pace on, and they look like they're moving quite well. You see the shadows there, so they're watching each other at the moment. So those 4 girls, as we draw back, you'll see they're just sort of probably just filling each other out a little bit and just making sure they're travelling comfortably. But see Brad and just talking to Brady there and saying, pace is good, you know, how are we going? Keep on our game here. These girls are enjoying having those paces out just to set the pace up for them.
How long will they stay with them for?
Well, I think I was talking to Brad, and he mentioned he wanted to get a fair way through the race, so over 30k I think they'll certainly try and keep that record pace in mind, and they're good athletes in their own right, and obviously to run 2:25 you've got to be a sub 2:20 marathon runner, so they hopefully can do the business here, just stay at pace, let these girls get in that race mode.
One of the interesting things is we haven't got either, or there's probably 3 or 4 brilliant Japanese female runners that are not there.
That is a little bit of a surprise. The Japanese tend to run their own race a bit. So Risa Takanawa, who won here a couple of years ago, not in that lead group. So it seems like those Africans have just teamed up a bit together.
And here we are at the front with the men, and Kawauchi there with his hat on. And look, we mentioned, or we saw Lee Troupe a little earlier on, an Australian marathon runner. His story is an extraordinary story as well, isn't it? As we see one of the paces just peel off to the left, and he'll be pretty much done now. But yes. The Lee Troupe story is interesting, isn't it? Because he's run with his father this weekend on one of the smaller disciplines, and he's doing the marathon. But his dad's story, grade 4 brain cancer, and his way around it, or part of his way around it, was running. And they've got to run together.
And they started together. Troupe got introduced by his dad, and his dad's way of coping with the brain cancer and through chemo was to get out running. And isn't it wonderful to see him run the 10k yesterday, and then Troupe to back up and decide he wanted to run the marathon in honour of his dad today, and hopefully he has a good day.
Oh, and look at all the enthusiasm on the side as a sip is taken. And look, as we mentioned, we're going to get these guys absolutely burning it up. And then there are others that will take most of the day to finish dressed up. Brought the tie, looking glorious.
Looking fantastic. And the elite runners love that interaction. And isn't it great that, the weekend warriors can see the pace, when they come back and they see how fast these runners are going. They're heading back up through Surfers Paradise now. Great crowds out in this event, and, they really get out and support it. And the elite athletes really would like that. I am amazed by the size of this pack. They are on record pace, 2 hours 9, and there's still a massive pack there at this stage of the race.
Yeah, well, there's the aerial shot, a big lead pack.
You're right through that famous landmark at Surfers Paradise, heading back towards 30k, and I am amazed at the group here, but they're running at a fast pace, so I'm imagining that they're not going to be in a big group like this for much longer, Tim. It's impossible. They can't all maintain this pace. So something's got to give shortly, so we're in for some really exciting running over the next few K.
It was a ding-dong finish last year, and it was Kawauchi and it was Kenneth Mungawa that peeled off, and they were going toe-to-toe at the end of the race. But right at the moment, as we say, there's about 13, 14, 15 of them just in there, and they're peeling off periodically, but still a big pack. And here's the women. Now, this is 4th and 5th. We've got a debut marathoner there in Girona in 4th, and then Risa Takanaka, we mentioned her a little bit earlier on. She's in 5th at the minute.
Yeah, and she's running her own race, and that doesn't surprise me. As I mentioned, the Japanese often will run like that.
Bikili now by herself, and that changes things. Of course, Gabra Selassie now dropped off.
Yeah, just with the 2 pacemakers, so it suggests that they're running a fast pace. And there is Keverus, so in 2nd place, chasing her down, and yeah, that's a pretty decisive gap. So looks like the race is on here now. Certainly, and they went through 20k right on race pace, so they're running fast. 3:26 kilometre pace, 2:26 marathon running. I'm not surprised that Abebeck's out by herself now.
And now the men approaching the 30k mark.
That's right, over the bridge, and this is quite significant here. There's probably only one hill on this course, and they're approaching that. And decisive here because you approach the start-finish line, but it's only 31 kilometres into the race. So you've still got really what we say in marathon terms. We say halfway is about 30k in a marathon. It's not, but technically, but for us, race-wise, it is. So they're about to approach the significant part of the course. And Tim, in recent years, we've seen this is where the real runners tend to start to make their move forward. We know then it's a real race on. So they're about to approach that little rise up through the start finish line at 31k. And I can tell you, there's a big pack here right now. once they go down the hill on the other side, head out to Runaway Bay, guaranteed this pack won't be that big when they come back.
How do they play the tactics? Everyone's so different.
Well, I think they'd still be looking off the pacemakers. These paces are probably going to go to about 30k, and then they're not going to go much further. Once the paces drop out, that's when the real race starts. That's crucial. And there we see. Well, there we go. There's Noguchi and Yuki. They would know each other well. So Yuki right on the pace. So the Japanese getting quite aggressive here.
Yeah, and we just mentioned Noguchi just married, and there he is, bang on the front.
And look, it's interesting, that they seem to be the aggressors, and Asaki. So they've got four Japanese right there. That surprises me, because Kenneth Mungara still just sitting off the back there. I'd probably like him to be in that pack a little bit more, because he will know, and we know, this is starting to get to the business end of the race. This is where the pace will really start to kick in. You see them looking around, starting to get into single file. This is where here we go. This is where the group's going to be split.
And the pacers have done their job now.
That's right. So they're off, they're done, and they'll say, righto, I'll leave you boys to the race. And now is where they start. You can see them looking around. They're starting to say, okay, we know the pacers have done the business. Now, who are the serious threats today? This is really where, as I say, 30k. There's a 30k drink station. So we're through that. This is where the race starts.
Legs burning.
Well, yeah, starting to, but you're still focused on the race here. So, there you see Yuki getting his drink. Really important that they get the fluids on. He is such an experienced marathon runner. He knows. Look how seriously he's taking that drink, making sure he gets plenty of fluids on board. This is where you break up a little bit through the drink station. There you go, little spray there just to cool the head, puts a hat back on. He's obviously travelling very well to have the awareness to be able to do all of that out of that drink stations. He's looking great.
And we're just looking at Kenneth at the back. It's pretty hard to tell with some runners, isn't it, exactly where they are, because he always looks relaxed. Like when he won last year, he looked like he could go and do another marathon on top of it.
It is interesting though that I'd rather he'd be in this with the Japanese. It's almost become almost two races in this group. We've got the Japanese out the front, and then the Africans sort of almost looking like they're hanging on. This is really unusual. I'm surprised. It's normally the Africans who are very aggressive at this stage of the race, and today we're seeing the Japanese packing and helping each other out.
Well, they are, aren't they? Because we will see, if their plan works, all of them will take a little bit of time at the front, would you think?
I think they'll just sit in that group, it's not really windy, it's good conditions today, so they'll just get into that group and just sit, but they'll be aware of each other, so no talking, but just a respect for each other. And then you can see, Jonah Chesson and Kenneth there moving around now, so he's obviously, doesn't he look relaxed? He looks like he's...
I think he'd drink a cup of tea, doesn't he?
I'm sure if he's sweating. I'm sure he is, but it doesn't look like it. He's got a little bit of sweat on his singlet, but he looks very relaxed. Now we see, this is what I would expect to happen.
So here he comes to the front, Kenneth, and the winner's going to come out of that. There's 2, 4, 6, 8 of them.
That's still a lot at this stage, I've got to say. There is that hill. They've crested the hill. Seriously, this is where the race begins. They run down the other side here, and then it's basically flat running out to Runaway Bay, and they're through 31k, so we're now into the business end of the race. 11 kilometres to go, so if they're running just over 3-minute k's, just over half an hour before, and they'll be looking off to the right there. That is where the finish line is, so they'll be going, I wish we could just turn in there now, but they know they've got a race on their hands. A big pack still, but serious running about to happen.
Can you almost say it doesn't look like it's going to be the match race that it was in 2 that we thought at the start that we saw last year?
Surprisingly, but I do think it'll be a close finish because you've got so many in this pack now.
And the half marathon, great participation in the half marathon.
Massive numbers and always really well supported because it is such a fast course here. So lots of people out there trying to run a personal best and starting in the darkness right on dawn. So perfect time to be out on the road. Always expect to run fast here in a good race up the front by the looks of it.
And you went out for a run yourself, you enjoyed it?
I did, loved it, yeah. Terrific day. I haven't ran the half for about 20 years, so it was nice to be able to pound the pavement with the elites again.
Yeah, so many runners in the half marathon. And there he is, the winner, Yamagishi, and 1:03.14. Pretty good stuff.
And Sarah Hall there crossing the line. She's second last year, our American. She's a great world-class athlete, Sarah.
you can't beat it this time of year, especially for July. This is the place to be. So I was standing on the starting line, and I didn't quite know what my fitness was like. I was coming from Ethiopia, where I got sick quite a bit from food and water. But I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. It doesn't get much better than this here on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, the lead women here, and Bikili, she's still with the paces, and she's looking good.
Lead woman, yeah, that's right. And even the men, Brad, I think they're right on the pace and rolling along nicely. And this could be fast. I'm really excited to see. I think the women's record's been improving year by year, and we have runners that are capable of certainly breaking this record. And it looks like Abebek's on pace for that today. Looks very relaxed, good arm action, all under control. Seems pretty much on top of her race today.
A little bit of water on top of the head at the drink station, and those paces just with her, they'll be shouted a nice cold orange juice for their work.
Yeah, it's a really good camaraderie in distance running. We see that here. Look at those people dressed up, smiling. Isn't that great? Don't you love that? Enjoying her day out there, beautiful weather, lots of company, plenty of support out on the road.
Yeah, no dress-ups here. This is the business end.
Yeah, no dress rehearsal. This is the real deal here. And again, we see Yuki, very experienced, just pouring a little bit of water on his quads. Your biggest muscle, and in the hot weather, they will be the muscle that will go first. So very experienced, as I mentioned, he's on to that. And again, the Japanese, very aggressive. I'm surprised that they are, it's almost like they are running single file to break this group up and put pressure on their African runners that are with them in this group.
It's pretty hard to design too much when you get to this part of the race, but do you think there was a little bit of anticipation amongst these three guys before the race if we're out in front together?
I don't think so, because a couple of these runners are in unknown territory here. So the Japanese runners, Noguchi, Asaki, they're 2:11, 2:12 runners. This is 2:09 marathon pace. So it's almost like they're pacemaking for Kenneth and Yuki rather than running to win. But I'm surprised they're so aggressive. And here we go back to the women. As I mentioned, Tim, that crested the hill through 31k and now on that only bit of downhill on the course and starting to not look across to the right to the finish line. Still going, okay, I've got 11k to go. I'm out, I'm on pace. Looks like the pace is just, it's interesting, they're not really in front blocking them, just getting their own drinks and letting her run her own race a little bit there.
Yeah, and she's looking good right at the moment. And
running really well. Yeah, she's really got good flow and good rhythm.
Here comes Kenneth again. It's a real battle. Look, that as you mentioned before, we wouldn't expect as many out in front at this point.
No, and Jonah Chesham there, he's a Paralympian, so with that withered hand on his right arm. But he's a sub-2:09 marathon runner as well. So these two, Kenneth and Jonah, maybe just starting to move to the front of the pack here. So they've, just conserved all that energy early, and now they know the race is on. And it's interesting, they've moved to the front at this point. So maybe we are seeing a changing in the guard here with the two Africans just starting to turn the tempo up a little bit and put pressure on the Japanese guys.
And it really is getting serious now. We've seen the turnaround from Runaway Bay too.
We're on the way back, so we're starting to head for home. And Kenneth obviously knows this course really well. Won the last 2 years, so this is where he stamps his domination on the event, and that's what we're seeing today.
So there he is, Kenneth Mungara, going for a hat-trick of wins here at the Gold Coast Airport Marathon. Noguchi there, just recently married, obviously married life suiting him, and Kawauchi just behind them, and then we see Chisuma and the third of the Japanese runners. Looks like he's just now starting to fade.
Yoshimoto, yeah, a little bit. So and look at the leg turnover. They are really accelerating now. So you can see Kenneth is really, really letting him know who the boss is here. So this is really aggressive. This is quite significant here. And Yuki, realising that, moves around. And here we have Yuki and Kenneth. Are we set up? Is this that great finish again that we saw last year? Are we going to get a repeat of that?
Are we going to see a fairy tale, Steve? A fairy tale in the shape of Noguchi, because he's right there. And as you mentioned before, we thought this was going to be a match race. We thought it was going to be Mungara and Kawauchi, but Noguchi right there, looking good, recently married, obviously suits him.
And they're away a little bit. This is really surprising. We're looking for the Kenneth Mungara, Yuki Kawauchi match race. And here we have Noguchi coming to spoil the party.
And it's his 29th birthday today. So wouldn't that be, he might not be able to blow the candles out if he wins, but here he is, and he looks like he's going to give it every little bit of a shake to try and upset what everyone thought was going to happen, a Mangara or Kawauchi win.
That is very surprising. He looks great and very aggressive. He's almost looking down the road, got that really positive attitude.
And there we are. We were just checking the time here. Bekele is right on race record time. So if she keeps that up, she could just break the record here.
She could, and she's obviously aware of that, just checking the splits. And yeah, she looks terrific. Doesn't she look like she's coping? Doesn't look distressed at all. Always like to see that knee lift. She's still got really good rhythm, not struggling. Pacemaker's there looking and saying, come on, going really well. We're going to drag you through. This is going to be a really fast time. She'd be aware of that and just really trying to stay relaxed and keep that good rhythm.
Well, there's the aerial shot. That's Kawauchi. Wow. And he is just behind now. And Noguchi and Kenneth out in front.
That is not just behind, Tim. That is a decisive break. That is, the leash is broken. He's lost contact with those first two. So, gee, I'm surprised. He's tough. I'll give him credit. He's the toughest runner I've ever seen. So maybe if there's any runner in the world that can get back, maybe it's a Yuki. But, gee, you got to say, Noguchi and Kenneth. Kenneth, how relaxed does Kenneth look
could
there?
be a Japanese winner, but it's not going to be the man we thought. Kawauchi and Mangara. Here they are, the absolute legend of the Gold Coast Airport Marathon over the past few years, going for his hat-trick. Will it be him at age 43 or on his 29th birthday? Here he is, Noguchi, right on his tail.
That is amazing. Through the 40K drink station, just getting their last bit of fluid, throw a bit of water on. Now, focus, heading towards the finish line. So only a couple of K, we're only 5 or 6 minutes from the finish, and they're looking like this is the race.
And Kenneth keeps pointing to his left.
That's just to indicate that they're going to go left, or that there's a little implement, something just to watch out for. So that shows how well he's travelling. How could you do that at the 41K mark of the marathon? Oh,
the only
God.
way I could do that if I was travelling in the back of a bus. This is Mangara and Noguchi. They're out in front, and a bit of a boil-over possibly here. Noguchi from Japan. We thought it was going to be Kawauchi and Mangara. It's been set up over the past week as a match race. That here we've got this guy who is going for his third win, very separate in their tactics, but Kawauchi is gone. A bronze possibly for him, but it's not going to be silver or gold. That's going to go to one of these two runners, Mangara or Noguchi.
Well, it looks like it, and we did think the Kenyan-Japanese rivalry, but Noguchi's not the man that we thought. So, wow, gee, I think Kenneth looks very relaxed, but look at that, side by side, running now within sight. This is the last stretch. They run down this straight stretch and then they turn into the finish zone. So they're not far away. Yeah, and what will Kenneth know? He would be expecting this to be Yuki. He knows he can outkick Yuki, but what does he know about Noguchi?
Not much, because here he is. This is the marquee moment of young Noguchi's marathon career. He's 29 today, and this could be the day that he really sets it up to the rest of the world, that I'm here as a very serious marathon runner. I just knocked off Kenneth Mangara. I know we've got a little way to go. We just see the shadowy figure of Kawauchi in the background. He's not going to catch these two. It's Mangara and Noguchi coming up, and we're not far away now, Steve.
We are. It's exciting. Again, I think we're going to get that close finish, and surely Kenneth, 3 times in a row. He's been here twice before. He knows this area so well. He's just looking so relaxed. They haven't quite gone yet. It's now the tactics are who goes first.
And you just whatever's left in the tank.
Well, they're almost calling on. This is where all years of training come in. It's not physical now, it's mental. Really, this is the psychological strength of Kenneth in front, which surprises me a little bit. He's normally a person who would come from behind and make that decisive kick. So this is going to be unusual.
The forever calm-looking Mangara, even if there's a moment of stress on his face? But here comes Noguchi, the 29-year-old. Could it be youth over experience? Kenneth, it's hard to tell where he's at, but Noguchi is not letting him get an inch here?
No, they're side by side, and I still think Kenneth is pretty. He knows this finish area. He's got it all under control. He looks very relaxed. He hasn't gone yet. He's just saving it. He knows once they turn in. Look at Noguchi, head back, really straining just to hang on. So hopefully we can get that close finish. But Noguchi looks like he might be done. Really straining.
Kenneth Mangara, can he get a hat-trick of wins here at the Gold Coast Airport Marathon? But Noguchi, just as you say it, the commentator's curse, he takes the inside and he powers on.
How's that? Just as I called it. And now he doesn't look like he's grimacing as much. Here we go. Kenneth again. Gee, incredible that they are running side by side. This is really, it's almost like they're testing each other from a long way out.
We saw a brilliant finish and we're going to get it again. Last year it was Mangara and Kawauchi. This year it is Mangara up against Noguchi. The kid just a year out from his 30th birthday. It is his birthday today and he's 29, and this would be the biggest moment of his career if he could possibly upset the odds as Kenneth tries to make a little break here.
There's that gap and they're within the finishing straight now, so less than a minute of running, about 250 metres to go. Looks like Kenneth's away. Look at that relaxed stride, made that decisive break.
Kenneth Mangara heading towards the finish line. Will this be a hat-trick? But here comes Noguchi. Noguchi's not giving in. I thought you thought Kenneth was going to win and Noguchi's come at him.
Unbelievable.
Noguchi, the 29-year-old today. Oh, get the candles out for the young man. He's going to win, is he? Kenneth Mangara, he's going to spoil the party, Noguchi. Mangara was looking for the hat-trick and Noguchi is making a gap. He's sprinting away. This is going to be a Gold Coast Airport Marathon dream for Noguchi from Japan. He takes his glasses up, he punches the air, and what a win under 2:09.
Unbelievable. Wow, what an upset. The Japanese have turned the tables on Kenneth, but not Yuki as expected. But Takuya Noguchi, under 2:09, well over a massive PB for him, 2 minutes quicker than he's ever ran before. Is he happy?
What a win. How happy is he? There's the great Robert Di Castello, and Kawauchi runs across the line. The Japanese man we thought that'd be in the 1-2 has finished with third. Still a good time, 2:09.18, but it's Noguchi.
Very fast time, sub 2:09 again here, just reinforcing how fast and how good those conditions today. An upset, but the time about what we expected, just outside race record time, and a personal best by over 2 minutes for Takuya Noguchi. What a finish.
Yeah, and a special finish. We've had two in a row now, but we can't underplay the efforts of Kenneth Mangara. So good.
ものすごくきつかったんですけど、もうここまで来たら優勝も見えてる位置で、相手が強いのも分かってたんですけど、自分を信じて、走りました。
Very happy and emotional man, Noguchi, just extraordinary today. But what about the performance of Bekele? Look, she's going to break this race record. She's going to smash it, Monas, but will she get under 2:26?
Well, she's certainly got that in her sights, and she's not just happy with the win, she's actually still pushing this pace. Look at how fast she's still running. That leg turnover, good knee lift, so she's having a really good run today, and she'll be conscious of knowing that she wants to not only get under the course record, but make sure it's a course record that stands for a few years' time.
Well, here she is. We haven't seen sub 2:26, of course, because the race record is more than that, but Bekele's going to smash the race record. This has been an extraordinary performance. She's had two great pace setters, but what a run. Just an amazing run, a brilliant surname when it comes to running, and Bekele living up to it. Here it is. She's going to go under 2:26, I'll tell you. Here she is. It's going to be 2:25.34.
Really fast running. She'll be delighted with that. And had to run so much of it on her own. While she had the pacemaker, she was basically solo running as the first female from over halfway, so that's great running. And here we have the battle, quite close racing there. Mercy Kubaris and Risa Takanawa for our winner from a couple of years ago. A really close finish, but I think probably, Mercy, I think enough of the gap there to take silver.
Yeah, she'll stroll over. Well done there. But look at Risa. She wouldn't know now that her husband has won the Gold Coast Airport Marathon for men as she comes across. And, well, there he is, Noguchi. Almost takes him out, the big fella. He's got to tell her now, hey, I won. I won. So there you go.
What a great moment.
Oh, nice for the family. And that is, there it is, 2:25.34. Wow.
Some really great running there by the girls. Certainly that's fast. That's really put this female race also into a world-class time. 2:25 is really good running. I think that might be the fourth fastest on Australian soil, only behind the 3 medalists in the women's marathon at the Sydney Olympics.
That's amazing, isn't it? So gold, bronze and silver in Sydney Olympics, and then the next fastest time, there it is, Bekele.
ጥሩ ነው ዝግጅትም ጥሩ ማሸነፍበትን ዝግጅት አድርጌያለሁ እና ደስ ብሎኛል ስላሸነፍ ኮርሱንም ስላሻሻልኩ በጣም ተደስቻለሁ።
And Tim, I just noticed a couple of Australians with really big runs, Virginia Maloney and Celia Sullivan. Virginia under 2:30, that's massive leading into Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, that is a huge performance, of course. The Commonwealth Games on the Gold Coast next year. And Chef de Mission in the commentary box today, Steve Monaghetti. Today's been a remarkable win for Noguchi and brilliant for Bekele. And so much atmosphere here.
Pretty tough, very tough. It's my second ever marathon. It's very hard work.
Beautiful, yeah, nice day out there, nice and cool. Yeah, race plan went okay. Got a reasonable time, not a PB, but pretty happy with it.
Oh, it was good, yeah, I felt really good. I just wanted to go under 3 hours and I achieved that. Last year I did a 10-minute PB, I did a 3:05.18 and this year it's under 3, so yeah.
Sub 3, that's all I wanted, so I'm stoked.
I did 2:09 last year, so I'm happy to beat it by 10 minutes on my birthday, which is really cool.
Great work. It was really tough out there, but I'm so stoked to just did a PB, so I'm very happy.
Very, very hard, so rewarding. It was great course, great public, phenomenal, great race.
What was it like atmosphere-wise out there?
Fantastic. Everyone's very supportive, which is wonderful. Helps you a lot, definitely.
Back next year?
Yes, I'd say so.
And there he is, Richard Coleman, a fantastic effort, and he's going to win the wheelchair section here of the Gold Coast Airport Marathon. Well done, Richard.
There's Ben Hannett, I think, is it? And
yeah, that's
Matty
Big Ben.
Rogers.
He and Matt Rogers.
Good running by the boys.
He's done well, Ben. That's a very quick time. Well, Monas, it's been a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed this.
We enjoyed the commentary. I've got to get you out on the roads again. We'll get you in training for next year's big 40th anniversary of the Gold Coast Airport Marathon, mate.
I did 5.7k this year, maybe 10k. We'll catch you very soon.
Look
Steve Monaghetti from all of us here. What a race we've seen. Noguchi, Bekele, it's been superb.